What are your major concerns with the whole Belco gas pollution?
But as the MP for the area, as I've been doing my rounds with the residents, they have real major health and safety concerns. There's pollution emanating from the smokestack, which causes soot on their roofs, their property, and then there's another residue that spits out of the smokestack, and this is more like a oily, rusty substance that damages their property and their gets on the roofs and stuff as well. And so the problem is when that goes onto the roofs, it then drains into their tanks, and they don't know now whether or not the water in their tanks are contaminated with the soot.
How long has the complaints of the community been prevalent?
There was an initial wave of complaints many years ago with the old smokestacks, but when the new smokestack came on board and new plant, it seems like there was heightened emissions issues.
In recent times, what changed?
The new stack is actually closer to more residents, and then they have the storage tanks which carry, I guess, fuel and oil, which lets off emissions as well. And so there was an issue with that new stack where it was spitting out some that oily brown spewed, and the residents are just now heading off, and so they feel as though their health and safety is being compromised, and they want solutions.
You said you spoke with Belco before. What type of solutions have they said they're going to come up with to help with this issue?
Well, I've alerted Belco to the issue, and basically they've informed me how residents can get in contact with them to get some remediation work done. If you looked at Belco's recent statement, it believes that it's operating according to all the emissions regulations that the government has set. But that pollution that is spewing from Belco's plant can't be in accordance with the regulations.
So has the regulations set from the government, has that been checked yet? Do we know if it's actually according to the regulations?
Well, both Belco and the Ministry of responsible for the environment are going to do independent assessments, and once those assessments are done, that will determine whether or not the toxins are actually harmful and hazardous to individuals' health, and whether the emissions coming out are in compliance with the law.
And when those results come back from the chemical testing, will we hear them through you, or?
It's my understanding that Belco plans to host a town hall meeting for the residents of the area. Once they inform the dates of this town hall meetings, I'll ensure that I pump the information out to the entire community. I know long-term residents have a feeling that the emissions are linked to health concerns, whether it be cancer or asthma. And so long-term residents do believe that. And I know two mothers who are planning on moving out of the constituency because they don't know how the health hazard is having an impact on their young children. There may or may not be a correlation, but certainly the emissions are, especially on St. John's, strong enough where if you're standing in your yard, they're almost unbearable.
Someone wants to know, how much compensation will residents get for the defecation of their property?
And so I am not sure how much compensation individuals receive. It's on an individual basis. But what I know that Belco is currently doing, they're currently painting roofs. They're currently having cars washed and property restored that has been damaged from the soot and what we consider to be that oily, brownish pollution substance coming out of the stacks. In addition to that, some individuals have been able to get their tanks cleaned and their tanks refilled with fresh water.
Wouldn't that have to be like almost an everyday job?
It will be. So the roof cleaning is every 2 years, but what we're actually pushing for is on a needs-be situation, on a needs-be basis now, because every 2 years is simply not good enough for the residents of that community, especially when you have these deposits that are coming from the smokestack that are damaging people's property and polluting people's roofs and things of that nature. And so a big concern is last weekend there was another incident where that brown oily deposit came out and was on person's roofs, and then this week it rained. So you can appreciate that stuff could have washed in people's tanks, with their fresh rainwater, and now they're unsure about whether or not their tank water has been compromised.
Yeah, and so, yeah, what I mean by like a daily thing in that circumstances, like when that would happen, like wouldn't you have to we put in fresh water into the tanks like that same day or the next day? Like,
and so the answer may be installing of water filters that address the problem. But yeah, this is the realistic ongoing health issues and concerns that residents have. I spoke to Belco. Belco is going to do assessment, and then the minister responsible for the environment is going to do an assessment as well. And hopefully we can get feedback to the residents as to what is the composition of the pollution and whether or not it's actually harmful to their health.
And how long do you think that'll take to get those results?
I'm not clear on that.
What can the island do? You know, as a community, what personal changes can we make ourselves to help push Belco into making faster and safer changes?
What I've implored Belco to do is have meetings with the community so that they can have one-on-one conversations with the community and also discuss with the community the strategy that they will be using moving forward. Now, prior to the new staff coming on board, I actually attended a Montiel community meeting with Belco's team, and they promised that this will be a cleaner stack. There will be less vibration. It's actually healthier because the stack is taller. The emissions they have a model towards the areas fly over people's houses, and so the emissions won't be directly impacting residents, but what we actually see is something different. Based on the way our energy grid is actually structured, we would need a larger level of investment to go to windmill or solar to power the country. Right now, the power station is our best option, but we need a plan as to how we're going to get off the fuels that we're actually using to produce our energy. I know there are options of liquid natural gas, but also we have to consider how safe is that. And so, do you put a liquid natural gas plant in the middle of a residential neighborhood? And so, it's kind of, I don't think it's nobody wins in this particular situation, but what we do need is a commitment to cleaner energy.
At one point, I do believe like Belco was up for sale. Why didn't our government buy it?
So Belco is still going through the sale process. I wasn't there in the conversations when we contemplated whether or not it would be more feasible for government to purchase Belco. I would prefer if it remained in local hands and somehow the community came together as a collective and purchased Belco, but then we'll be operating under the same model we have now, where we have residents who own the power company. I think what they're looking for is a large injection of capital plus the management expertise of the plant, and I think that the sale can bring that added value that the company and the country needs, to the table. And I see where power companies have been naturalized across the world, and that's not always the best model for efficient operations. And so this is a little bit tricky because we're kind of right now and got some fiscal pressure on us as a government, and it would be nice to say we can take a portion of the island's pension funds and purchase the property, but we still need the management know-how and the additional investment to take it to where we need it be, and that's a clean energy source for the country. The island is reliant on Belco. The plant isn't going anywhere, but the company can certainly commit to changing the way in which it's currently operating so that it meets the needs of the residents. I don't think that we just tell residents tough luck. I think we should collectively commit to ensuring that the health and safety concerns are addressed and see how we can put things in place that mitigate whatever negative damage is happening to their health and their property on a daily basis.